Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, we're going to talk about FSU in Florida and how in the world did this happen. These are two big-time programs, and they're both going through it right now. And I mean, I can't believe what's happened to Florida. It's almost shocking to me. But even more shocking is the FSU situation. This is a team that was undefeated last year in the regular season, 13-0. They can't win a ball game. And I'm talking they can't win a ball game against anybody. It makes no sense. In Florida, they don't know what to do. They're almost schizophrenic at this point. They desperately wanted to fire Billy after Miami and Texas A&M pushed him around and made him look like crap.
Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself! Quit hitting yourself! Oh, water tastes good, yes! Glub, glub.
And now they won 3 out of 4. And they're going, well, maybe we should give him some time. He's going on his 3rd losing season, but you never know. He might have an okay season this year. But then there's the schedule. So it's just a big mess with both of them. We're gonna talk about it. Let's start out with FSU. Again, a team that was undefeated in the regular season. And now they're trying to figure out what to do about Mike Norvell. To get rid of him, it's $64 million. But they've also got to pay him $10 million a year regardless. He's won 1 ball game this year. They're 1-6, and they don't know what to do. I mean, it's crazy. And here they are talking about it. This is TJ on Double Fries, and I would have him on the show, but I don't want to put him through having to talk about this season because he's become apathetic, which is completely understandable. It's really hard to have a YouTube channel, and he actually has 2 channels. But it's hard to have a channel and your team stinks. It's very, very hurtful, I'm sure. I've fortunately not had to go through it, but I know it would stink.
His program, his team is going to cost this university and this athletic department millions of dollars. Like, he is going to cost us millions of dollars in lost revenue, in ticket sales being down, things like that, right? Like people canceling the boosters, canceling NIL. Like, yep. And Mike is still going to make $10 million one way or the other and get 2 or 3 wins out of it. Like, I don't know where that 3rd one would come from. I think North Carolina is a little worse than Duke, but probably not as good of a matchup for us as Duke was. So I don't know, maybe 3, probably 2. See if we can beat Charleston Southern. I guarantee if you have 3 turnovers on 3 plays by the same player, you probably won't be Charleston Southern. But Mike is going to make $10 million one way or the other. And so this isn't, I'm not like mad at Mike for this, but like that to me is a little bit frustrating that first of all, that you signed a contract like that, right? And that's Florida State's administration. Second, that like Jimmy Sexton has the sport so much by the balls that you can't get out of that anyway if you wanted to. But it is absurd to me. Everyone else is going to pay for this. Like, the battle's end, I would be surprised if their budget is as high next year due to the lack of support that people are pulling back. I would be surprised if their budget is as high next year because of this. The FSU athletic department, their budget is going to be lower next year because they're going to have to buy out some coaches and they are going to spend some money. And we are at a deficit right now, and we are paying legal fees, and we are bringing in less revenue because of ticket sales, and we are bringing in less revenue when it comes to people canceling their booster, stuff like that. But Mike ain't going to make no less money. Like, he ain't like that contract is still $10 million for him, and that is absurd to me. And I really think, and it's not Mike's fault. Like, we're the ones that signed it. Sexton's the one that arranged it and negotiated it.
Yeah, that's a very difficult situation. Not only do you lose out on all the money from the energy that having a winning team gets you, your town gets wrecked financially because when you're not winning any ball games, people don't flock to Tallahassee to watch those ball games. You know, it's home games. There's not near as much energy. The hotel rooms aren't as full. The restaurants aren't as full. The tax revenue is not as high. People don't donate to the NIL as much. They don't donate to the school as much. And on top of it, you're stuck with the guy. If you get rid of him, you got to pay $64 million. But if you don't get rid of him, you lose even more maybe. You're darned if you do and darned if you don't. Yeah, Ace Ventura knows. It's a bad situation. I don't know how you fix it either. He's just got to start winning. He's got to figure out a way to start winning. Again, he obviously knows how to win. He had an undefeated season last year until ran into Georgia. And I will give them some grace on that because 10 NFL-level players opted out for Florida State. So that really wasn't the same team. What you're actually seeing now is that team that played Georgia because the people they got from NIL obviously weren't that good. Certainly DJ U has not been very good at all. I still can't understand why he brought him in when he literally watched him at Clemson, not play well at all. Really, and that look, at Clemson, he had the best offensive line. He had the best team against every team he played in the ACC. DJ should have flourished in that situation, and he didn't. And for Florida State to spend the money they did to bring him in shocks me. But anyway, that's a decision you make. And they don't really have a quarterback right now. The guy that was the backup they put in, he turned the ball over 3 times in a row against Duke. And somehow Duke won with no yardage. Let me show you the yardage that Duke had. It's scary. Right here, folks, 180 yards they had in that game, and they beat Florida State. Florida State wasn't much better at 291. They had 70 passing yards for Duke and 110 running. Yards per play, 3.1. But what killed them, 4 turnovers. 2 fumbles lost, 2 interceptions. That was the game. Duke punted 9 times.
9 times?
9 times.
It's just crazy. And on top of it, they're stuck in the ACC where they're $30 million behind every year versus the SEC and the Big Ten, who they're trying to compete with. They're having to pay legal fees. Now, they may work out a deal with ACC where they get a little bit more money because FSU is a much bigger product than all the other schools, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. But it's bad down there. It just flat out is. And the only answer is Mike Norvell's got to start winning again. That's all there is to it, which means he's going to need support. What do you do? Plus, if you start firing the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and all that, they all got extensions too. And I believe he said it'd be $8 to $10 million to deal with that situation. So it's messy down there. It just really is. And now we're going to talk about Florida Gators. They may be in the weirdest spot imaginable, and this happens occasionally. They're coming off 3 losing seasons in a row, which upset everybody in the SEC so much they hate to see Florida struggle like this. Yeah, the rest of the ACC is very empathetic to them. But now they don't know what to do. They were ready to fire him. After the Texas A&M game, I mean, they were ready to let him go.
I'm disgusted. I'm lost for words. The fact that he's going to be allowed to trot back out there is criminal. They drove 99 yards. Great punt, Billy. That's like when you drive it 355 yards and you get a double bogey on the hole. Nice drive, bud. Nice drive. From the 1 in the first play, busted up the gut. Elko just sitting there. He's got a beer and his lunch on his belly, just walking down the sideline, giggling. He's like, this is unbelievable. This is the SEC. He's like, I left Duke for this. This is cake. He probably thinks he's going to the playoffs. This is unbelievable. This is as low as you could possibly. I'm probably gonna shoot myself in the foot here, saying it can't get worse. I might be wrong. I don't know. We've got another half of football left.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. Now, that's High Top Sports. He's going, well, God, what if he won a bunch of games in a row? And he's in a very difficult spot. Again, somebody with a YouTube channel that's got a team that's going through really tough waters. And 1 minute you can't stand the guy, you want him gone. The next minute you're like, well, he did win 3 out of 4 ball games. He played Tennessee tight, which is a top 10 team. And I'm going to show you their schedule in a minute. And they've done okay this year. The 3 losses that they've got are all to top 10 teams. And oh, by the way, they're not anywhere near done with playing top 10 teams. Most schools, if they have to play 3 top 10 teams in a year, that's a brutal schedule. That's a half a year for them. Wait till you see the rest. And now they've beaten Kentucky. And what do?
That we saw from the defense, the fact that the team hung with the top 10 program, who, by the way, picked up Alabama last night. So playing them to overtime doesn't look so bad after that. But that was a huge gap in Florida's play last week. So the fact that they were 7 for 7 in the red zone against a defense that is statistically better than Tennessee is some major improvement. Now let's give it up for that Florida defense. Okay, so Kentucky's offense, not great. But I think this defense still gets props for stringing together their third impressive outing in a row. They have gotten better since the bye week. Okay? They are flying around, giving full effort, really playing for each other. It's fun to watch. And the difference is stark between how the defense is playing now and how they played the first part of the season.
And maybe the reason the defense struggled so much, you were playing teams that were a lot better than you realized. The two teams they struggled against were Miami, Texas A&M. Miami's not lost a game. They're top 5. Texas A&M's loaded with talent, and they're top 10. They've only lost one game. So maybe Florida's not as bad as everybody thinks they are. So that puts them in a real quandary because most of the people down there want rid of him. But do you really want to come up with $26 million plus another probably $5 or $6 million for the assistant coaches? That's $32 million. And then you've got to go beg Lane from Ole Miss, which means he's going to really want the money. And you got to deal with all his so-called fake injuries, in my opinion, which he has about 10 a game.
Allegedly.
Do you really want? Yeah, I guess they probably would. He's kind of a Steve Spurrier, but Spurrier never did the fake injury crap. You know, he just beat you and then laugh in your face. Whereas Lane will tweet at you, but then he'll cheat you. My opinion. So anyway, that's difficult. Now let's take a look at these two team schedules and what they're dealing with. And I just got to say it. Whoever made this schedule for Billy Napier must hate his guts. All right, Miami. They lost to them. Miami hasn't lost a ball game. They're top 5. They beat Sanford into the ground with DJ Lagway had a great game in that one. He played because Graham was hurt. And then Texas A&M beat them 33-20. Texas A&M's lost one ball game. They're top 10. Then they went to Mississippi State and handled them by 3 scores. They beat UCF pretty handily. It wasn't as close as that shows. Then they came to Tennessee and almost beat Tennessee at Neyland. Only lost in overtime, and then they beat the crap out of Kentucky. So really, is it that bad a season? They're 4-3. The 3 losses are to 3 top 10 teams, and they beat the crap out of the other teams. So is he really that bad? But look what he's got coming next, and this is insane. He's got to play Georgia and Texas back to back. I mean, you got to be kidding me. This is insane. I mean, I just can't believe they made this schedule for Billy. I mean, this was a get Billy out of Gainesville schedule.
Oh, no. No.
Oh, and if that's not enough, when you're done with Texas, let's play LSU. Then let's play Ole Miss. And then this would have been a tough game. This is actually an easy game now, Florida State at Florida State. That was supposed to be a top 10 game. It's obviously not now. That's probably a gimme. But that's, 7 top 10 teams in a season? Even with Florida State not counted?
That's not fair.
Don't raise your voice to me.
If he goes 6-6, and he might very well, he's got to find 2 more wins in there. Man. Florida State's 1. He's going to have to beat either LSU and Ole Miss. I don't think he can beat a Georgia or a Texas. LSU at the Swamp, that's a possibility. Ole Miss. That's your 2 If he wins one of those 2, I don't think you should fire him. 6-6 against 7 top 10 teams. I don't know. What are you going to do? Get Nick Saban? I don't know that Nick Saban could take the Florida Gators and do better than 6-6 against that schedule. Sorry, I don't. If he did, it'd be Nick Saban-esque. So anyway, let's take a look at Florida State and what they got left. They've only got 1 win.
1.
They lost to Georgia Tech, Boston College, lost to Memphis. They barely beat California 14-9. Then they lost to SMU, Clemson, of course, and then the Duke loss was ridiculous. Now they got, oh my God, they got Miami coming in. No, they're going to Miami. That's a butt whooping. North Carolina, that should be a pillow fight. Then at Notre Dame, that's a loss. Ooh, here we go. Charleston Southern. They could bully them, and then Florida Gators going to whoop their butt. Man, I'm seeing 2-3 wins tops, yeah. So you're $30 million behind to begin with. You got to pay Mike Norvell $10 million to win 2 or 3 games. That's exciting. Your donors are going to dry up. Your NIL is going to dry up. You can't fire the assistant coaches unless you want to come up with $10 million. They need Elon Musk or some billionaire to come down there and donate them some money to get them out of this mess. And he's going to have to donate a bunch every year. It's a big mess. So anyway, the Florida team, Florida State, I'm sorry. I actually have some empathy for you. I really do. I'm not going to put the laughing thing because you and I have something in common. We both despise Florida Gators. Mine has a lot to do with Steve Spurrier and what he did to us in the 90s, costing us not one but possibly 2 national titles with all his crap. So I have a kinship with the Florida State fans. I can't believe what a mess you're in. And then Florida, it's horrible. You're sitting there with a guy you need to fire, but can you really fire him? And can you blame him for the record with that schedule you set him up with? I mean, good Lord, I've heard of being born on third base. This guy got born in a crap hole over on first base. I don't even know what are you born on in the dugout? I don't know the baseball metaphor for that. I guess there isn't one. But he got dealt a bad hand. That's just a fact.
It ain't got no gas in it.
You see there, Scooter? Thinks of the simplest things first.
So anyway, that's the Florida teams for you right now. Miami's happy as crap. They're laughing their butts off at them. They're loving that Florida State and Florida are struggling. They're loving it. They're over there going, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, 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 hit this little button right here. It won't cost you a dime, and it'll help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.